people of Earth, I have arrived. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to continue staring until we get people on that are actually. Oh, look, we have people watching. Oh, and I got a heart. I love you people. Oh, you make my evening. Let's get a couple things out of the way. Welcome to Shaman Sundays. I'm your host, Brandon Cooper. I'm a little sick today, so my voice sounds a little weird. But we're gonna chug along through it. As always, before we crank up the madness that is Shaman Sundays, we're gonna light. Where's my camera? There it is. We're gonna light the sage. And I guess I could announce. Oh, good. I've got special guests popping in. You guys are gonna love this. I guess I could announce that the sage that I've handpicked and we have put together bundles of are now on sale on store.supernatural.inc. If you guys want to light sage along with me every Sunday. Oh, Tabitha, hello. So let me just go ahead and make fun of myself. So today, I know for this show that y'all are expecting Sarah Lemos, and I had a wonderful over an hour interview with Sarah. We'd pre-recorded. It was a wonderful, wonderful episode. I wish you guys could see it because guess what? I didn't hit record. Yep, I didn't hit record. So basically, Sarah and I had a private chat for an hour. But fear not, my friends. She said she's going to make time for me next week. I promise I will hit the record button. And we're going to do... I know, Lisa. I know. You know what? I'm new to this podcast thing. So I tried to do something on my own without my producer. And look what, if I need to listen to the people that know what they're doing. That's what I get for not asking for help. But anyway, so next week we are going to record and we're going to make it our Christmas Day special. So, but that being said, I have some wonderful fill-in special guests.
You want to show them that picture?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Just tell everybody to look at you for a second. Imagine you without a beard and mustache.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to do. My producer's going to imagine me without a beard or mustache, right? We have found my doppelganger. My producer has found my doppelganger. Look at this guy. Look at me. Look at him. You see it? I did not kill those people, I promise. This is what happens when your doppelganger gets out there on the loose. It's horrible. So the special guests that we have in store for you, we have Chris and Kristen. They, you know what? They even sent me a bio. These people are super professional. Chris Carr and Kristen Johnson make up Dark Horse Paranormal. Besides hosting the internet's most famous paranormal show, Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast, and Bigfoot and the Bunny, which I need more information on Bigfoot and Bunny because I want to know. There's got to be a story there. They are avid paranormal researchers and investigators. They believe that and I love this part, guys, they believe that while spirituality is most often a subjective experience, there is an objective reality that we all transverse through and can only understand through the lens of consciousness. See, I mean, these people are right up my alley. Theology and ancient history leaves us fingerprints and other clues, but many truths are still not fully understood. We feel consciousness connects us all with all things and ascribe to the theory of, oh God, that word. That's why I have you say it. Panpsychism. I think I got it. Which allows for consciousness to possibly be attributed to all matter in some ways. We approach the disincarnate in a state of deep respect and stand in awe of the quote-unquote others, those entities that are seemingly not human of origin. Normally, I don't read the entire bio. However, that is very, very well written. And I believe it does encompass our next guest. And also, we have another very special guest who I will be pulling up after we interview with Bigfoot and the bunny. Carl, please. There we go. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Greetings.
Greetings and salutations.
Salutations, crustaceans.
Oh, very nice.
We're
Crustaceans.
happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, and also thank you so much for filling in last minute. You know, the whole record button is just something that eludes me. Apparently.
Well, we got ourselves a favor. Yeah, you were able to come in last minute for us on our Bigfoot and the Bunny show yesterday, and one hand washes the other, brother. Here we are.
I love it. I love it. So let's just dive in. Oh, and by the way, if anybody has any questions, put them up in the chat. I will be going to the chat here in a minute. But at first, I want to know Bigfoot and the bunny. Where did these names come from? How did we arrive here?
Oh, we do have a story about that. I had recently moved to a new house, new location, and between our yard and the neighbor's yard, there was a row of hedges, and inside those hedges lived a family of bunnies. There was a bit of phenomena going on in the house, or so we felt at the time, and we were both outside having a cigarette, enjoying a little nicotine, looking at the stars, which is probably the only good reason I can think of to smoke cigarettes.
Everybody look up.
Agreed.
Yeah, we do a little star watching more than the average person, and we saw at least what was to us an unidentified flying object, and it was like a reddish orange type orb streaking across the sky. It was moving much faster than a jet, yet slower than a shooting star. We don't believe it was a satellite, and we were just kind of mystified by it. And I turned to Kristen and said, well, the next thing you know, we're going to see Bigfoot chasing a bunny. And when it came time to choose a name for our internet radio show,
I said, well, what about Bigfoot and the bunny? And the bunny.
I love it.
The bunny, because a lot of people do confuse that and say in the bunny,
Yeah,
and that would be a very short-lived experience.
Poor bunny.
Some
Okay,
squealing.
so he goes, yeah. He says, that sounds great. And I'm like, I was only kidding. I really, was only kidding. He's like, nope, that's the name.
That is, and it has a ring to it.
That's how it happened.
So
It drew me in. I before I even had the pleasure of meeting you guys, I came across your show once or twice, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I probably would not have stopped had it not been like just an awesome name. So
thank you.
And now that we have been able to spend time together, I'm so glad that I tripped upon the light fantastic and fell into the Bigfoot and the bunny.
It's like clickbait. People see that. Yeah, what the hell? And
right
there they are.
I love it.
Thank you.
So we know that you have the podcasts, but let's talk about why we're all really here. Paranormal and paranormal investigating. What are your favorite procedures, shall we say? Are you more of a spirit box? Are you more of a dowsing rod? I mean, what type of equipment do you guys use?
Well, I manufacture dowsing rods, and we're fond of some things like that, and pendulums, something that we want to work with more. Probably instrumental transcommunication, or ITC, is kind of our bag. We love spirit boxes. We love capturing a good old-fashioned EVP. Nothing makes us happier. We probably do more audio work than video work. I think that's fair to say. And we have quite a collection of clips and audio.
There's just something about the good old fashioned EVP.
Yes.
I love it. And the crappier the digital recorder, the better.
We agree.
Yes,
I
indeed.
mean, oh, let's see. Denise,
Denise,
is Chris out of Massachusetts? If yes,
yes, Denise,
enter.
it is same Chris, and yes, I remember our conversation, and I believe we interviewed you as well around that time for the Hidden World show. Hi, Denise. Good to see
Hi,
you.
Denise.
I see also Carol Garcia out there. How you doing, Carol? And thank you for your email and your kind words. We very much appreciate it.
Such a sweet woman. Yes.
I did notice the other night when I was on your show that we have some viewers in common. So it's a small paranormal world.
It really is a small fishbowl that we all swim in, for sure.
And I love it. Let's take just a second to say hello in the chat room here. Julie, we'll go get you some sage, honey. Carol, hello, good evening. Lisa is with PRI, Paranormal Research Institute, and they do some awesome stuff with random number generators and hard scientific data in the paranormal studies.
I love that you said data and not evidence. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Well, yeah. But they're going to come out to the Haunting at the Mill Paracon.
Excellent.
Random
number generators are super interesting.
Very interesting.
Hey, we love how I know there are several spread around the globe, and sometimes they behave in peculiar ways based on, or seemingly based on, major events going on in the world. It's great stuff.
Chris, are you working on another book?
No, not at the present time, but yeah, I would like to. We've gathered quite a few stories and some interesting, hopefully fresh ideas about the paranormal in general that we would love to get out to people. So
research,
if it can find the time, it could happen.
Maybe I missed it, but I didn't know you had a book. I'm gonna have to order your book now.
I do.
Forgot to take it off the shelf. I'm sorry. It's about pareidolia, and he wrote it with Clarissa Vasquez.
Yeah. Oh, pareidolia. That's a fun subject to study on.
Debunking common paranormal myths, exploring psychosomatic pareidolia is the name of the book, and I wrote this with my friend Clarissa Vasquez. And Denise, Clarissa was actually on our show recently, and we were talking about her latest book, which is about haunted hitchhikers and that phenomena, as there seems to be a lot of them. And it's one of those things that seems to traverse every state.
Where could we purchase this book?
I believe it is on Amazon.com, and you can look it up by my name or Clarissa's name, and yeah, absolutely, it's cool. The psychosomatic pareidolia, the idea behind that is that people kind of self-induce some pareidolia, and for the want of having data after spending, I don't know, 15 hours in a haunted house with 150 hours of video and audio, and you're on the 149th hour, and boy, you really want to hear something. Yeah, so sometimes, we can kind of create that, and the book goes into some of the things that, get mistaken for better data than it should be.
Denise said, I have the book, read it on the plane before interviewing them. Easy read. I will be adding it here shortly to my cart. I will get it. And then if by some miracle y'all make it to South Carolina in March, I would like to have a little John Hancock on there.
Oh, that could be arranged.
Ah, wonderful.
I'll talk to John.
I like that. So, like pareidolia, I do enjoy exploring this because the brain in itself craves matrixing and pareidolia, and it does it on its own. Regardless of sitting and doing an investigation for hours on end, but this power of suggestion and hope of finding something makes it even stronger. And it's just funny how that works.
It sure does. And when we get into the realm of the spirit box data, there's a lot of controversy, and people say, well, it could be just a commercial. It's just radio noise, people talking. And as the stations scan by, and I'm sure our audience is familiar with what a spirit or ghost box is. We look for things like the same voice carrying on through the band. Obviously you know what a spirit box is with your relationship with Supernatural Inc.
Right.
And, we look for things. And in fact, right here, I have
There it is.
Tom.
There it is.
Made by the one and only Katie Stafford.
Piece of resistance.
A piece de resistance. And
that's right.
Certainly one of our favorite boxes. We love this. This is a Nanocom 2, which I believe only Greg Kos and myself have the model, and even ours aren't the same. So, but you can get custom nanocoms from Katie and Katie. So, if you have any wants, I'm sure you've talked to them about that on the show. They make some great stuff. I love. They put their love and energy into every box.
Yes.
Yes.
Their energy.
He is very obsessive when it comes to making his boxes. He wants everybody to be happy, and he wants everything to be right. So, but it's funny that you mentioned Greg Kos, because as I look down into the backstage area, it appears that the Shadow Hunter himself has joined us.
Awesome.
That's great.
So
let us bring up Greg Kos.
There he is.
Hello, sir.
Boy, oh boy, this is pretty crazy. It's sort of setting a precedent now, so that every time we have a show, these are all the key people that have to be on it.
I think so.
Checks right after the show. Don't worry.
Right.
Checks.
Checks. Yeah. For dragging us along with you. I really appreciate it.
Dragging along with you. No, I didn't do any dragging. You guys dragged me.
There's something about just sitting on someone's coattails that's just so relaxing.
You know what? I get, I need sleep, and I was interested, and I just went ahead and started to ask questions, and I assumed certain things, and my condolences to all three of you people, because I'm the fourth one. But it's amazing to be here.
Well, I'm so glad that you actually had the time. Now, Greg Kos is actually scheduled to be on the show December 4th, so we will have much more of him. But this is a small little a little treat to, I guess, lick my wounds of not hitting record, so I get great guests to come in and make me feel better about myself.
Sweet. Thank
and
you.
I see that Denise Prideborn is going to be on Greg's show in December as well.
Yes. So again, the fishbowl is small, as you say. I love it. I love it.
Denise is an awesome lady too. Everybody in this chat's, right up there.
And if you listen at the end of all of our shows here on the Bill of Rights Network, we have the disclaimer that basically says the views expressed, blah blah blah. Well, anybody that knows Denise, she's the one reading it, so it's quite humorous to hear her read the disclaimer and know that it's probably burning her mouth with these words coming out.
Great.
Well, besides Denise, it's lovely to see that every show, Kristen Johnson always has a new outfit on.
Yes.
It makes it all the more interesting, and she's quite the fashion model.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
The paranormal fashion model. That's for sure.
Another nickname to add to him.
Yeah, so I usually call her the haunted bag of squirrels. But
I see it. I love that one. I love that one.
I got nothing to do with. I didn't set that up or
you didn't.
anything.
But thank you. I appreciate that very much.
You could be the Paranista.
Oh, I like that. Can I trade?
There it is. Yeah. And by the way, Chris, I do need to say, love the shirt. I am a huge fan of Ghost.
Oh, they're great.
Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
I've seen them several times, and what a fun band to see. Cool songs, really catchy, and they're from Sweden.
Yeah, they're from Sweden.
I am not.
I
That
love
was
it.
the best Swedish accent I could come up with.
Did it well.
And that's not bad.
Yes.
What about
I was impressed. I thought we had gone international there.
meatball?
You're funny.
We make it the meatball. Is that
Yeah.
right? No?
Yeah, I think so. Bark, bark,
Something
bark, skitty, kitty, skitty, kitty.
That's it. That's even better.
Yeah. The Swedish chef.
Yes.
I loved him.
Fantastic.
Oh, the greatest ever. Greg, I told you that Shaman Sundays is a bit of a nut house, but so welcome.
Fits right in with the,
I have no problem with that at all.
If I can't bring a smile to my viewer's face, then I've done something wrong. Oh. So we always try to have a good time. We try to relax. So, Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcasts, and then Chris and Kristen, we will come up to you about your podcast, because it's kind of odd that
why don't you do theirs first?
Well, then why don't I do theirs first? But it's kind of odd that the interviewer is interviewing the interviewers.
yes.
Right.
And I'm nervous, which I was not anymore.
Okay, I'll go first then.
Weird.
And then you can take a deep breath and relax.
Thank you.
Well, I'll meditate a little.
Anytime.
There it is.
You're the world.
You're
Let's
very
put it that way. Both you guys are, and of course, my shaman can attest.
That's right.
To that.
So well then I guess we will start with Chris and Kristen, Bigfoot and the Bunny. Pick one of your mini shows and tell us about it.
All right. Well, we'll give you a little backstory about how we got to having shows and how we kind of got together. The thing with us and our story is we both had haunted childhoods. We took them very differently. They were both somewhat frightening and traumatic. And we could go into those details if you want, but to give you the quick overview, Kristen didn't like the paranormal, and we had dated for several years, and she didn't like it, and I was doing less of it. I had been on paranormal teams and things of that nature for a long time, and it just kind of died down. But Kristen also lives in a haunted house, so it's very old, and
it's built in 1740.
1740.
Oh, wow.
The activity in the house was growing.
Things are being thrown.
Yes, and footsteps and a whole variety of things.
Like a residual up and downstairs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she finally said, "All right, Chris, do your thing. Let's just see if there's something to this." We did a simple 20-minute session, 10 minutes of just asking questions, looking for electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, and 10 minutes of Spirit Box, which I believe was my shack hack.
Yes.
Kind of an old school Spirit Box.
Right.
I mean, when there was a Radio Shack, right? So I've had that for a while. And we got 20 minutes of data, and it was quite a bit of data in it. I can actually play you clips from some of that if you want.
Yes, please.
Sure. I'll play you something. We got our names back and all this kind of cool stuff. But before I do that, the thing is, Kristen was frightened, man. She did not want to hear it. She was bugged out because we couldn't hear the EVPs that we got at the time, but we could hear her name coming through the box. We could hear her father's name, who's passed, and asking questions about that. and it was just chock full of things. And now I'm used to like being on the team again, having 150 hours of data and trying to sit through it. Like, oh my God, I've been listening to this forever. And there's 20 minutes of treasure. And I'm like, yeah, this is so great. I was so excited. I'm like, you got to listen to this, babe. You got to listen to this. And she wouldn't listen to it.
3 weeks. I didn't listen to it.
3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I could hear him. He's on the bed, and I'm sitting at the edge of the bed, and I can hear my name through the headphones. He's listening to it, and he's like screaming because he doesn't, know. Oh my God, Kristen, you gotta hear this. He's screaming, and I'm like, no way, I'm out. Please stop. Just shut the door and move out of the way.
Exactly.
The activity kept going in my house, so I figured, hey, I've got to listen to it, and then that was it.
Right. Then you're hooked.
Yes.
And now she's the first one to play it back.
In the past couple of years, I've learned and grown, and I wish I did that a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was probably, it wasn't your time then. Yeah.
Right.
Right. And I will interject. We have Courtney, who finally has her own name on.
Welcome back, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
So Courtney is here. Hello, Courtney. And I was supposed to call you today, Courtney, and I completely did not.
I was talking to her last night.
I'm a bad person. I know. I'll call you. I promise. So, okay. So you have evidence to play. I don't know if
data.
We'll go with data. And if it's way too loud, just tell me. I can control the levels. But this was like just a spirit box, and you'll hear Kristen's name in this.
Oh, I'm freaking out. You can hear my voice.
Yeah, you'll hear her excited in the background. And it kind of goes like, hey, Kristen. And then you'll kind of hear it's not like music, but it kind of says, please help me. And please help is something that would continue to haunt us, if you will.
Oh, is that what you're hearing?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I can't wait to play it back.
Sounded like Kristen.
All right. So
yes.
All right. That came through. Sometimes it's a little weird in the live stream coming through the board we have.
It says, Kristen, please help. Please help me.
Yes. So there's 20 minutes of stuff like that, including EVPs. And like, we're like, wow, this is like really crazy. And we just found that we have a wonderful chemistry together. And, we just seem to get a lot of this data. And I don't know why, but, we've done it separately. It just doesn't seem to work as well. But together, as a couple that we are, it works really well. And I don't know what it is about us. I have no idea.
We call it chemistry and synchronicity.
Right.
But it happens.
A lot of synchronicities growing up and things. So
it's quite a library.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like with my wife and I. When I get great data, she gets great data. But when we're together, it just seems like
awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not up.
It's like it's on fire. And I've heard other people say this too, so we don't think that we're unique or the only ones in any way, but the fact that it works so well for us has made it just a great outlet. And we just love doing this stuff, and it's fun that we can share it.
And and speaking of my wife, I do want to give a quick shout out. It is our wedding anniversary today.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Please tell Ashley I said that as well.
I will. Oh, her name is Anna.
Anna. What I say, Ashley?
Don't tell
earlier.
Ashley. Tell Anna.
Yeah, don't tell Ashley. Tell Anna.
She's the studio is upstairs and she's downstairs. So
she came into the chats the other day. I swear I saw her, read her name like that. So I'm very sorry. I apologize.
No worries.
Don't tell Abigail.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
You should bring her up and we should sing her happy anniversary.
You know what? I will send her a text and see if she will come up. But so Greg.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit because you have a very interesting show in the Metaphysical Crossing show. Can we talk about how you came up with that? And well, let's just start with that. How did you come up with this idea to make it a show?
All of us here really love instrumental transcommunication, and one of the methods of that is usually it's one of three or 4 methods, but the main method to me is the Estes. So it's the blinders or the eyebrow, if you want to call it, and the soundproof headphones, and you listen to your spirit box. And some people have different methods that they choose, and Chris and Kristen have been on. If you had headphones and that too, that would be another great thing. And I know that I would have liked to have you on with Katie. And I think we did that, didn't we? Or did you do any sessions with these yet? Or did you just were you just a moderator?
Brandon or us?
No,
Brandon.
you.
Okay.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah. No, I did. I have not done the Estes side of it. I was asking questions and writing down.
Okay, so you were the moderator. So this is where I'm going. I'm going in the fact that what I tried to do is I tried to shake it up a little bit by having different groups of people at different locations getting asked basically the same questions and looking at the answers, the responses that were given, and see if there was any correlation between them or any bantering, because bantering seems to be a big thing with the double Estes. If you did a double, I did one of the first ones I did was at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital with a friend of mine, and we were in a room and there was about probably maybe 15 people. It was recorded, and I know the guy that's got the tape, and I'm going to get it, because half of the conversation was we were literally talking back and forth to each other, and we had no idea we were doing it. And when we came out of it, it was like, I'm sold. I was also sold to this method because of the fact of what happened to me at Gettysburg with a live spirit box session that was happening on top of the triangular field. And I was like 150 yards away, and I could hear them. I could hear their spirit box going off, and then I could hear them arguing because there were like 8 people. And we're in this, and we set the intention to go ahead and to be able to go ahead and communicate. Right. And if we have one loose link, or we have one bad link in the communication cycle, quite possibly we aren't going to pick up as much as we would if everybody was on the same path or had the same intention. And so that was where the show went. And that's why we brought people like Chris and Kristen on. And it wasn't really me bringing them on. We all talked all the time about it. So it was just friends coming together with the same ideas and actually talking about different things on it. And they've come up with some fantastic parts too on their end, where the Gensfeld method was brought in, and that's where the sight deprivation. And if you use the right color, which is pink, of course, and you go under, and it's almost like an hallucination. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Chris?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I've done it.
Okay.
Yes.
So we were there. We've been there. Now I sound like, what's his name? Brad Pitt again. We were here and then we went there. But I'm not going to get into that part. But, to try to remain serious about it, the fact is that you have to have good people at all these other locations. And they encompass Missouri, Minnesota, Illinois, and Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. So that's what we bring in, and we bring in two groups at one show. And we would love to, this next series of shows that are coming up, we want to try to do a triple. And there's a lot of little, the timing's got to be right, and that kind of thing. And do you guys have any other? Do you pick up any any problems possibly that we can run into on that?
Well, the only thing I can think of that would be over talking each other, because that happens with the double. So over talking. What else do you think? Other than that, I think that's it.
Is there any way, since you have a board and everything, Chris, do you think there's some way to separate the 3 channels? And if we had to, we'd cut the sessions down to 10 minutes, and then we would play the individual responses back separately?
I can only separate Kristen and I because we're plugged into the board. From the board, it goes basically to StreamYard, to our streaming function, as it is. Mixed. So
okay, well that answers that.
Yeah,
so then there would be a problem unless we had some way for the moderators to say, okay, you ask questions for the first so many minutes, and then you are done, and then it goes to group 2, and they have from 10 to 15, and then the other group has 15 to 20. Somehow I missed 5 minutes, didn't I?
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay. And let me jump in here real quick. I had to reset my speakers so my wife can hear. My beautiful wife has come up to the studio.
That's
so
awesome.
She'll be able to hear you. Let me get her over because we have such a large room. Hey, there she is.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you.
Hi, Anna.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I told them that neither one of us remembered that it was our anniversary until we saw our daughter's post on Facebook.
It popped up in my memories, and I was like, "Oh, that is today, isn't it?"
So yeah, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Facebook is wonderful for that. I wouldn't know anyone's birthday, including my own, if it weren't for Facebook.
Right. That's how I keep up with it. Lisa says hi, Anna. She is with PRI. Let's see here. We've got a bunch of happy anniversaries. I'm just going to read this real quick while she's up here.
Go ahead. That's what we're here for.
She hardly ever comes up and graces the podcast.
I'm very awkward on camera. I don't like it.
You look wonderful.
Yes, she's so beautiful.
Yes.
So Denise says happy anniversary. Kimberly Horn and Scott Horn of Horn Paranormal, they say happy anniversary. They're the ones that are coming from South Dakota.
Okay, cool.
By the way, Scott, I guess I think we will be staying with you guys in February if that's cool. I'll give you more details later. So yeah, everybody says happy anniversary, and the guest requested your royal presence, so I had to
grace us with your presence.
See?
Yes, thank you so much.
So thank you.
Say hello.
There should be some way to shift it so that you're up front, Anna, and Brandon's in the back.
I mean, I can go hide behind the green screen. I'm
literally.
No, I don't mean that.
Chair.
You're just great, and it's great to know you guys, and this is a big family.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Denise, did you read it?
I did.
Okay. I did. Denise, that's a good question. That's probably an entire podcast series of how to keep me grounded. So
actually, we do a fairly decent job of keeping each other that way, balancing each other out.
And while I have you up here, babe, Chris and Kristen, they were talking about how when they are together and investigating, that they have very good chemistry and they get a lot of activity when they're together. And I said that we kind of do the same. Mm-hmm. So what is your take on that? I'm putting her on the spot.
That's okay.
I'm not really sure how to explain it, except that both of us being sensitive, it's just kind of, I don't know if we help each other's radar hone in better, or if Spirit's aware of that. I'm not really sure. We haven't done enough investigations together at the same time to really get a good feel for that.
But that's about to change. My beautiful wife has such a great heart. She is a hospice nurse by trade.
Oh boy.
And so, she's super busy. And of course, here I am. I'm retired military, so I get to go gallivanting all around and ghost hunt. So hopefully here soon I'll be bringing her with me.
That's awesome.
That sounds
Excellent.
awesome.
Excellent. Well, yeah, the more you do, the more you'll see that there is such a thing as couple power.
It's like chemistry.
We believe
it's
in it.
weird.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then you see the other side of it too,
Mm-hmm.
Anna.
Mhm.
Yeah, she gets to see the weird side of me. It's not Shaman here at the house. It's Honeydew, which is fine.
It's not Shaman.
No, the only Shaman in this place is toilet paper.
Don't squeeze the shaman.
Don't squeeze. Cha-cha-cha, Shaman. Well, thank you for joining us. I know you want to probably get back downstairs and away from the camera.
Great to see in person.
Wonderful to
Not
meet
that
you.
this is in person, but it's
All right. And Carl's waving at you from backstage.
Hi, Carl.
Okay, let me readjust. I love you. Thank you so much. The audience loves you. You need to do my show. Let me readjust my my audio settings, and then we will get right back to it.
Sure.
one of the things that I wanted to mention on that same process of the metaphysical show is the fact that if even if we went to two groups again, and we kept one group with a live box and we kept one group with the Estes, I think it would give the audience more to grasp and would make them more involved as far as participation is concerned. So
We
that
do a
is,
lot of the live box stuff on our show, and we've done that with you, Greg. We've had our boxing matches,
yes,
ghost boxing matches. Yeah,
I like that.
boxes.
Dueling spirit boxes.
That
That's
worked
the
out pretty
title.
good. You know, it took a little different take on it,
Mm.
but yeah, you never know what you're going to catch on our shows, right?
right.
Greg's show, our show, and now you, Brandon.
I just follow what Chris and Kristen do.
Well, and you know that's something I have not done on my show. Is a live ghost box session or anything.
I don't see how that's possible.
I mean, I have everything that Supernatural Inc. makes, and I just haven't done it. Let's take a quick little poll while we keep talking. Put it up in the chats if you would like for me to do a live ghost box session at some point. Let me know how you feel, because this show is for you guys, not me. Let's go back to Chris and Kristen. So your two shows, how are they different?
Well, okay, that's a good question,
Yes.
right? Because initially we thought, well, Dark Horse Paranormal will be our more laid back show, and Bigfoot and the Bunny will be a dressier show, and we won't swear. And I don't know if swearing is allowed on this show, so I won't swear. But, you know, we kind of started with that approach, but really it became more, I guess, a Bigfoot and the Bunny a lot of times will have guests that are outside of what we typically think of as paranormal. They might be into ancient civilizations,
Bigfoot, cryptids.
so we might do some cryptid stuff that, you know, isn't necessarily like investigation
Mhm.
type stuff. Not that you can't investigate cryptids, people do all the time.
Right.
They go footing.
They go a footing.
They go a footing.
They do go a footing.
It's just a little wider lens, I guess, you know, but it doesn't always pan out that way. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still, you know, Kristen and myself, and, you know, we're going to do something, and it's probably going to be a little supernatural.
So, okay, let me follow up question. Which of the two shows would be best for somebody who hasn't seen your shows to start to get to know y'all? Is it pick or choose, or is there one you would recommend?
At that time, you know, one starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, and the other starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. So, you know, if you're going to make it an early night, you might want to hit Bigfoot and the Bunny on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Plug. Or you can catch Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast on Thursday nights live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central.
I like that. Very, very, very good plug.
That's it. I work them in.
hey, why not? Let's get them in as many times as possible. Okay, so Greg, I'm going to do the same question with you. You have two different shows. You have what is it, Shadow Hour,
Yes.
and then you have Metaphysical Crossing. What would be? I know the difference, but I don't. Some of my audience may not.
Before I answer that, though, I want to add one little bit, and I mention it every time I can. The Dark Horse Paranormal was done. That whole intro to that show was done by Chris, correct?
Yeah, I actually
And-
did. Chris.
And if you haven't seen Dark Horse Paranormal and you're in this audience, you need to see the intro at least besides the show. But pay real close attention because it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's the best intro I think that's out there on Facebook Live.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
No, I just I call it as it is, and it is awesome.
That's Chris and his children, like
Yes,
12,
About-
14
yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
you wouldn't pick that up at all when you see it.
They sound like little kids, and now they have like a deeper voice than
Yeah.
me.
But
Yeah.
that's what it was meant at the time, That's why it was so perfect.
I had saved it. It was something I recorded. I played the guitar and bass on it, and I used drum loops that I programmed at the time. And this was, like a dozen years ago. And I always saved the song. It was part of a bigger song, and then hey, I had found a use for it.
Yeah.
You see the spark, and then you see the flame, and then all hell breaks loose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's,
And it's awesome.
Got to, yes.
Yeah, this video stuff I put together recently, but yeah, the song itself that's behind it is pretty old.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's kind of.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
appreciate it.
hey, you deserve every second of it. That's for sure, because the way it is. Apocalypse Now should have had that in the beginning.
Well, let's go. We need to have them refilm it just because we need to put Chris's stuff in.
I would.
Our friend Dr. Michael Lynch actually made intros for us as well. That we're going to have to play next time he is on our show.
Yes.
And we couldn't get them uploaded in time to StreamYard last time he was on, but we will do that, and you'll see Mike's take on it, which is pretty cool too.
And if you
quite
want to
funny.
see a clip
Bigfoot
of that,
and
it's
Bunny.
actually, did you put it up on Bigfoot and the Bunny or Dark Horse?
I'm not sure.
I put it up on my page. It's Kristen Johnson if you want to go see it. And it's down a little farther, and it's intro you see Dr.
Well, I mean, if you want to pull it up and screen share it here in a minute, we can do that.
I don't know if you wanted to. It's
It's all right. Let's go
Yeah.
on with the question,
yes,
because we got a lot
Greg
to
has
tell
to
you.
plug his show.
And we got Greg, and we're going to talk
Oh,
Yep. Okay.
power, right? Because our shadow hour.
Shower out. You always say
Shadow Hour was designed in the beginning, and I took it for people that I've met, people that I've learned something from in the paranormal community, and people I want to meet, but I know I'm not going to be able to in person. So, I have this amazing list that I came up with, and it's not amazing. It's amazing to me, and everybody else would say, "Well, I don't know about that," but it's a culmination of people that really that felt like that to me. And I've gone through probably maybe a little over half of it, and I still have some real unbelievable people, and one of them is going to be, hopefully, if she will answer her messenger. I know she's extremely busy, but she's one of these extremely important ladies to me as far as the paranormal and everything that I learned from in the beginning for me. And I would love to have her on. I don't even know if I'll be able to speak when she comes on, because I'm going to be like, but that's what that show is. It's just basically me and guests, and the same kind of thing as what we're doing here tonight. If we have a night where nothing's really happening, why not go ahead and bring our friends on? why not bring the groups on that we associate with that have much more to say as a unit rather than an individual? You know, that's what it's about.
Well
It's
said.
about the
Well
it's about the community.
Right. We agree.
And so the other show is basically all ITC. And I started going on my path on my mediumship and my psychic mediumship. And I was going down this path. And I was sort of stymied because I would go ahead and get messages from my guides, but it would be here. And I wanted to hear it through my ears. And I came across some people on the ITC end of it again, and they had a round table. And it's some of the biggest names to me in the ITC end of it. The guys that started it out, the guys like Bruce Holiday, who's just an amazing person. And then you got another couple people, and one of them that I have coming on next week is Jeff Resman and his wife Nancy. And Jeff Resman and Bruce Holiday were like this back in the day. They were two of the guys. And my story about Jeff Resman, some of it I'm not going to say now because I'm going to save it for my show. But how I met the man was, as Kristen says, another synchronicity, but it was so far out of reach at that time, I didn't even believe it happened. But it happened, and it was a wild event. So they've been on that show with me, probably Jeff and his wife Nancy, and they worked as a group in ITC for quite a few years, and they're the ones. And Bruce Holiday are the ones that brought in the techs and the operators. You see, I was still at the point where when I was working my box, it was going to be me and my guides. So I had to find out who my guides were. You know, I couldn't jump on the box and just say, hey, you. You know, I wanted to make sure that I was making contact with the same entity every time that I talked, and it turned out that that's part of why the show is what the show is, because that's the serious nature of it, because it's ourselves and it's dealing with spirit,
right,
and it's communicating with spirit, and it's what makes us, I think, important as far as our hearts are concerned, because they can go ahead and come up with some answers that can solve infinitesimal problems. And that's why I think it's important. So, you know, and there's times that I just, you know, I laugh about things just like everybody else does. And then there's times that if we really get into the nitty gritty, that's the important part of it. And if I didn't make any sense on that, you guys just go ahead and just hit that little knob in the corner and just eliminate me off the screen.
No,
no, you made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh, heck
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, Greg's shows are definitely distinctly different.
Mhm.
You know, I think they can be a little closer. I think if, you know, you were going to get down to it, the Thursday night Dark Horse, anything can happen. That's where we tend to do like kind of the ITC experiments, or it might be an interview, you know, where Saturdays is usually almost always an interview.
Well, you know, you have the background there too. So you have areas back there that come alive behind you guys.
Sometimes
we do
Okay,
the
well, you know, I've had people say that they see things that go on in behind me back here.
Yes, I have said that as well.
Elemental.
And I'm still talking to them.
Well, if you keep talking,
and they're not answering me even if I pull out a spirit box. So, you know,
someday they will.
Yeah, I think they're just biding their time. But there's a couple of comments here that I want to. Carl, can you pull up that first starred comment that I got? Can you see that? So I don't have to scroll back through. Or I don't know how that works. Okay, cool. Okay, this was asked earlier about my wife. Has she experienced a dying patient having a paranormal event? I can say yes, she has. She has seen one of her patients, actually, who is a quadriplegic, get up and walk out of his body.
Oh my.
She that's a story that I know she wouldn't mind me telling, as long as I do not name any names. But that is one of the things that she has experienced. Maybe I might just have to bring the wife on, and we'll do that. And then the second one, Carol, because Carol is such a sweetheart. I'm so happy I found Shaman Sundays. Brandon has really helped me more than he knows. Carol, thank you. That means so much to me. I don't know what I have done, but I do what I can to bring joy and happiness and a semblance of peace in this crazy, hectic world. So if I've been able to help you in any way, then my entire show has been worth it. So thank you so much for that comment. Let's keep this rolling. By the way, this is usually an hour-ish show, but the good thing about our time slot is we can go over. I've gone 2 hours before. So if we just have so much to talk about, we can just keep going.
Okay.
Works for us.
Yes.
Okay. And I haven't, I've introduced this guy on your show, but I have not introduced my brother from another mother on my podcast yet. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. This is my cousin Cletus.
You got a name for him now.
Yeah, this here's Cletus. So he's just like me in every way.
It's so cute. I want 5.
I know. I mean, I walk into this store and he's on clearance, and I'm like, "You're worth so much more than that. Don't let them tell you."
Don't underestimate your value.
Yes.
Right.
$3.98, and you gave the cashier a $20 bill, right?
I did, and I said, "You keep the change, you filthy animal." But in the same store, okay, we have a Himalaya, one of those pink Himalayan sea salt or salt lamps. I'd never seen a black one before.
Oh.
And they had one in this store. And I now have a black pink Himalayan salt lamp.
Interesting.
A lot of people are fond of black salt and have seemingly magical uses for it, and particularly like putting on your windowsill like you would normal salt. It's supposed to work better.
Well, and we do use the black salt quite a bit, but just to finally find that, and I'm like, okay, you're coming home with me too. And then my wife said, we got to go because you're buying everything
here.
Yeah.
Very
cool. So let's talk. What would you guys like for me to know? Let's start with Chris and Kristen. What would y'all, what would you like for me to know about you guys? What is one thing that you want to get out there that you normally don't get to do on your show?
Interesting question, Brandon.
We don't. I don't know what we don't get to do. We kind of do it all. We often don't wear pants, and people probably don't know that, except Greg, and now you, Brandon. That we do these shows
right
from the waist down.
Greg started that.
Right.
That's actually a great joke, and we've had that going for a long time, right, Greg? He just looks down. Yes.
Why? Yes, of course.
You haven't seen me get out of this chair yet, have you?
Only when you were backstage, and I'm sort of glad nobody saw that one.
Well, they're brand new almost. I mean, they're like a week old, but they're really cool, and they're gray and they've got black and they're black pinstripes on them.
Oh,
they're like boxers. They're perfect. They're casual, yet they can be used in a great show like this. Come across
casual, yet
being acceptable.
a little unrefined, as it were.
Right. Well, I like it.
Well, that can go for a lot of us.
On a serious note, I don't know. We get to explore a lot of things on the show. We like to review data. and clips and things of that nature that we've gotten on investigations.
Mhm.
I'd like to get out and do more of that. Hard to say. I don't know. What do you think, Pip?
I don't know. I mean, we like
Would
to
you
read.
would you like for me to come back to that? You want to think on that for a minute?
History, folklore is also like really super interesting to us.
Ancient civs.
Yeah.
We research a lot.
Yeah, we're into a lot of stuff. So it's not, just strictly haunted houses. We try to cover a lot of bases because we find it personally interesting.
The word you were trying to say was panpsychism, and you did it very well.
That's right.
You said it perfectly.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I was a little, I don't know. I always get tripped up on that word.
I didn't know if you saw me in the background when you had some, like, yes, you said it right.
I did. I saw you. And I was like, okay, good.
Do you want us to talk about what that is a little?
You know what? Yes, that was you're at Kristen. You're in my head because that was going to be the next question we were going to talk about. I like it. Yeah. Why don't you kick it off? Why don't you tell us like how you feel about it?
Panpsychism, according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, because it is a philosophy, not a science, but a philosophy, is the view that mentality is fundamental and ubiquitous in the natural world. And what is meant by that fancy statement is that because we are all more or less made of the same matter, the same stuff. I mean, the planet material is made of the same stuff. We're like an atom away from this, or there's an extra electron here. It's all kind of the same stuff. It makes sense that consciousness, the awareness, and even self-awareness, and many examples, can permeate even inert matter. We see life in things like trees, and I think you and I were talking about the trees last night. How they communicate through a mycelium network under the ground, which is basically is what fruits mushrooms. This stuff is like all over the under your ground, and trees use it to communicate from one tree to another. They can recognize their offspring. They can send each other nutrients. There's all sorts of things that go on. It's like this crazy data network. So the trees are conscious, like they know what's going on. They can even try to kill off other trees that are maybe affecting their young,
their offspring.
It's just crazy to think about, right? So it kind of explains like how you might have something like a haunted object.
Animism, going into animism.
And animism is where things have a spirit, right? So it's like the spirit of the wind, spirit of the river.
Total consciousness.
All right, it's a consciousness in these things, and that's an older, more shamanistic view, and I think panpsychism is real close to that. It's just kind of saying inert matter can hold a consciousness. Oh, we believe that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess that's why we get along so well, because that is right up the shamanistic alley, as it were. It's a teaching that we put kind of up first and foremost in our teachings, that everything is alive. And there's nothing, quote unquote, inanimate in this universe. And I think I touched on it a little on your show yesterday about talking about how antiques are more prone to being a haunted object because of the handcrafted nature, where the craftsmen put their love, their blood, sweat, and tears into this object. And whereas, things of today are more mass produced and less hands-on. So you really don't see like a brand new, Transformer doll or whatever as a haunted object.
Yeah, not usually.
Correct.
Not that it can't happen, but we agree with you. I think like a painter creates a beautiful painting, they're putting their soul in it. And there's also this idea of inspiration. Like, where did the inspiration come from?
Then you get down to a muse. And
and you have muses.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Perhaps there are spirits or other entities influencing an artist to create the vision that popped in their heads, that goes through their hands and becomes this work of art that we all love and appreciate.
And here's my wife jumping in. Quantum physics as a field is starting to back up some of those philosophies as well. And I think that we touched on that as well last night, that, the shamans for since the beginning of time, have taught that we are people from the stars. We are star people, or we are related to the stars. And in the 20s and 30s, quantum physics pretty much quantified that in a scientific way, that yes, we are pretty much related to the entire universe.
The thing that's so interesting about science is how much it's changed since we were children.
Mm.
You know, when Pluto was a planet, then it wasn't, and then it is.
This week it's not.
The
Right.
dinosaurs have feathers.
Yeah.
Like
Good
we would
ones.
never think of having feathers. A T-Rex is now thought to have feathers on it, for example. So they keep learning. Like where the moon came from is like super interesting. I know when we were growing up, we always said the moon came from the earth, like out of the ocean.
It was in our
I had a
science books.
I had a science book that had a picture of the moon coming out of the Atlantic Ocean, like it was jutting out like an inverted meteor, if you will. And
Right.
now we come to find out that the
Days,
soil and
yeah.
the moon is much older than the earth.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that doesn't make sense, right?
Nope. They need to change all our history books, everything for our children, because it's all wrong.
Well, I mean, history is slowly being erased before our eyes. Like I read in a recent edition of a history book that the Trail of Tears was not forced, and it was a happy time.
Okay.
I
Something new.
yeah, it is being rewritten as we speak.
I don't know who's writing that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
There's a lot of history books that have been.
Yeah.
And this was from a teacher friend of mine who filled me in on this knowledge.
Really?
So yes,
That's not right.
Yeah.
A lot of them deny it.
mm-hmm.
It's
But
awful.
nothing's been changed. But
So,
you look
yeah,
at World War II, and it's about a paragraph.
Oh, and they're
Or a page.
they're whitewashing the atrocities of World War II as well. But
Yeah.
I think we should digress. I believe that would be a rabbit hole that we would go into for a while.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
history, if anything, through our research, we find to be a lot more dark than what we were taught growing up. Certainly,
Right.
it doesn't seem to go the other way around. We did a lot of research on Native American history and the colonists coming here
Mhm.
and Columbus, in what really happened, and it's a terrible story. And the idea of Thanksgiving is not what we're taught. In the pre-Columbian era, before Christopher Columbus murdered, raped, enslaved the Caribbean and southern portions of the Americas, the cotton and her indigenous people had limited exposure to a widespread variety of diseases, for example.
That's right.
Yeah, Europe, they had built up these two. Things like smallpox, bubonic plague, chickenpox, cholera, diphtheria, influenza, malaria, measles, scarlet fever, typhoid, typhus, tuberculosis, STDs, and the common cold were all unknown and had devastating effects on them. A lot of people don't realize that John Smith in 1614, a captain, had landed in Massachusetts before the Pilgrims, in what would become Ipswich, Massachusetts. And because these diseases spread so much, when the actual Puritans arrived here, they found empty encampments. They were dead. It was a fraction of the natives that had lived there healthily before.
Mhm.
We explore this in some of our audio podcasts. If you look up Dark Horse Paranormal as an audio podcast, we have one on Native American history, and some very interesting things. I mean, there were things like cannibalism going on that nobody ever talks about.
Yeah.
And it was just
Right.
because they couldn't survive otherwise.
They dug up Native Americans.
Their
and
bodies, they dug up the bodies of their own children.
Yeah.
To eat, because they had nothing to eat. They didn't know how to grow. None of that had happened yet.
No.
History is very
huh?
dark.
Right.
Very, very dark.
And and I think that needs to be exposed. People need to know that
That's what we're trying to do in some of our podcasts. They really do need to know.
I think people should be aware of it so they don't repeat these kind of tragedies.
Absolutely.
Well, and like I like to say, the atrocities of the past have springboarded us to the greatness of our future. So, you know, I mean, you need to know where you came from,
Right.
and you need to know the right place that you came from, not what somebody thinks you should hear
Or tells you, right?
In
exactly.
Germany, they teach the classes coming up about the Holocaust and are very frank about it, so that they don't repeat the past. You know, you're supposed to learn from the past, not whitewash it, not pretend it didn't happen.
Right.
and
that's
When
my
you-
say. Thank you very much.
When you were talking about that, the panpsychism, there is a gentleman up here that's does cryptic or Bigfoot investigations, and he does it in southern Wisconsin. And he's been doing it. He has quite a few videos out on it, and long ones, full hours, and his investigation on that end of it. And what I found interesting on that is exactly what you guys were saying about how everything's alive in the forest. And he brought all that up, and I had been up there once, and it was the first time I had ever been up there, but you could feel the forest a little differently than you can in other locations. And I think it's because it's the kettle. They call it the kettle moraine. And the gentleman that I'm talking about is Jay Pachochin. And he's quite an investigator in his own right as far as that the cryptic end of it's concerned, and all these subspecies, if you want to call them. And after I was learning that, I have to go ahead a couple years, and I'm in the giant forest in northern Wisconsin, and there are giant pines that go up way up, and there's a path. And as I'm walking through it, I've got 6 screaming grandkids that are running down the path behind me, and I'm going, oh boy, they're really gonna like this part. It's not a zoo, you know. Come on,
the forest was
because then again, that that's the kind of a place that it's not a playground. This is a place of reverence, if you want to say it that
Something
way.
very serene, and they should take it with their little, so they don't know.
Well, I understand that, but just that picture, I can remember that happened. It was like, oh.
And throughout my travels throughout the U.S. and the world, each forest has its own unique feel.
Yes.
Here in South Carolina, I guarantee you will never feel like you're alone anywhere over here in the South. You will always feel like you're being watched.
That's here as well. So
the whole.
Do you think that? I'm questioning him now. Do you think that's spirits of the trees? Do you think they're all spirits in general with the spirits of the trees and the wind? I don't know what to think.
Well, I think it would be everything in general, because everything in America started here on the East Coast. So we've got a little bit more deeper history. It goes back, like it's quite common to find houses still to this day from the 1700s, and remnants of further back.
Sure.
So, and with the huge native population that was on the entire eastern seaboard, before they were uprooted, I think that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, but each one is just, like I said, it's unique. Like when I do my cattle drives out in Wyoming, it's a completely different feel. It's more of a welcoming kind of. I get why people went to the West. It's
Sure.
You know, like there's almost an oppressive feel here on the Eastern Seaboard. And the further out you go, the newer, civilization, the forest is still welcoming. Well, here, I'm pretty sure the trees and all the forests that have seen all the death and destruction and the murders and the mayhem are still very weary of what might happen.
We agree.
Yeah. The lands can get scarred, and I mean that's a thing as that history applies to the paranormal, right? So if you look at history for what it really is, you might start to put together like, why is this place so darn haunted?
We have a podcast of that.
We do, but on Native Americans and other things too. Yeah, the witches and witchcraft. The witches were prosecuted here, as were the Quakers, right? And we talk about the Quakers because, and they're still around, Society of Friends. They were treated the same way as witches because they did not believe in a middleman, a priest. They felt that they could talk directly to God. And just because they thought that, they would be arrested on the boats coming into Boston Harbor. They were tortured and maimed oftentimes. They'd have their ears cut off, or, hot iron pokers put through their tongues. And, four of them were hung right in Boston. They're called the Boston Martyrs. And, we talk about that bit of history too, because it gets overlooked. I never heard about the Quakers or anything about them when I was growing up. There's a whole history there. Fascinating.
And yet the people who persecuted them, the so-called Christians, well, it's in it's in the Bible where it says that the veil was ripped in half after Jesus's death, and so you no longer need the middleman. So if you're following this book, well, anyway, another story for another time. But
I believe you. Yeah,
it was just one of those. I'm afraid of what I don't understand, and see, that's why I love the paranormal and the people that I get to meet in the paranormal. We are not terrified of what we don't understand, and we don't try to kill it. Or, you can't really kill a spirit, but we don't try to get rid of it, or we're not afraid of it, and we're not trying to change it. We're just us in the paranormal, we're drawn to things that are not like us, or that other people find strange, and that makes for a more enlightened individual, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We want to understand them. We want to understand how the process works. Everybody wants to know what happens when you die, right? I mean, that's a driving force behind a lot of people in the paranormal, particularly if they've lost people in their lives and they want to know that they're okay, that there is something beyond the veil, if you will. And I think it's important, and everybody wants to know how the process really works, because nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. We just about these things, or we're taught in certain religions what it's supposed to happen, but till it happens,
we don't know.
You have the voices of beyond, to try to guide us.
Well, and one of the biggest things, talking about being enlightened, once you realize, there's that saying that YOLO, you only live once.
Yes.
Well, you live every day, you only die once, so why don't you try to make the best of it?
Right. And maybe that's not even true. We don't even know. Maybe there's reincarnation involved and you get to die a few times.
Right.
No.
But as far as we know on this plane, you get the one, you die the one time and then whatever. But Greg, what do you think about all this? You're sitting down there falling asleep.
No, I wasn't falling asleep. I'm processing exactly what you guys are talking about, and at the same time thinking of like things like past life regressions. That came into play with me quite some time ago with a great friend that's part of a group that's called Project Psi, and these were all psychic mediums that were used on projects with the people that run the country, sort of like your police forces and the CIA and the police and the FBI and everybody, and they were responsible for finding all these lost people. And this was a year ago. They found human trafficking. They put it all together, and they brought these people would have been dead. They were in semi-tractor trailers.
Oh, yes.
And those were the ones, and they were found by this amazing friend of mine. And he took me on some past life regressions. And there were a lot of curious things I found out about myself and why I have certain things that are happening to me today. One of them specifically is how my neck is. And I have these crushed vertebrae. I know how I got them today, but, and it was like pugilism, or, that we played football and you hit people as hard as you could all the time.
Right.
And then you went in the military and you had that I got knocked out by this guy that was about 6'4" and went about 240 pounds. And he caught me square in the corner of my neck and not only knocked me out, he almost took my head off my shoulders.
Cheapers.
In basic. And
That's pugil sticks for you, though.
And
they're nasty.
That's you learn by that, right?
Right.
But all these things came together, and when he was doing it, they were talking about the fact that there was another wonderful woman. Her name is Bishop Christina Rake, and she is a good friend of Dr. Chuck Kennedy's, and she is a bishop in the old Catholic Church. And I grew to that because of the fact that I'm not really a Roman Catholic anymore. I'm one of those people that's called a non-practicing because of, when I went through all I went through when I came out before I got married, it was like, I got to find my own way. I've got to find out, what's in my heart and not everybody else's. We got to pick and choose on this. And that's where that came from. And that's where this whole idea of these past life regressions led, because these were all related to what had happened to me in past lives. Because they were, and I'm 5'8", I enjoyed really contact. I enjoyed fighting. I enjoyed all that stuff. But they used the word warrior. I wasn't a Marine, but they used that word relating to my injuries because they said in the past lives that we looked at, that's what I did. World War II, Civil War. So were two of the big ones. And I had 3 lives in combining the Civil War and World War II. And I was on the Bataan Death March, if anybody knows what that is.
Yep.
So, and then Kristen, I know Kristen, I bring that up, but that's part of my past lives. And I know sometimes it takes us down a dark road, but as far as past lives are concerned, we have to know about them too, because it helps us understand how our makeup is today. I know. I'm. Sometimes I'm
picking my name up here.
No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong in that respect because sometimes I shouldn't, because that's not really public knowledge. But past lives are past lives.
This is true. And hang on, Kimberly Horn or Scott Horn, if you're still on here, I left you a message. I need to call you guys after the podcast if that's okay with y'all. Okay. Had to put that out there.
Can I say something real quick?
No.
May I?
Yeah,
please?
go ahead. Yes. No, of course you can.
Anne Marie Young, happy birthday. She's in our chat. It's her birthday.
All right. Anne Marie.
Oh, I wanted to ask that because I saw you wish somebody a happy birthday and I did not know who.
Anne Marie Young.
Anne Marie, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to
you. Happy
birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
I got to sing it out of key though. You
Happy
start out and then I'll
birthday.
come in.
Yeah,
Funny.
I
Happy
don't.
birthday,
Hey,
dear Anne Marie.
Hey, Anne
Yeah.
Marie,
Happy birthday to you
to
and
you.
many more.
I hope she's still on here.
I hope she's
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
blow.
there she is. Oh,
I
thank
hope
you.
she's
Yep.
gonna blow out. I hope she's gonna blow out the candles now.
Yeah, blow out the candles. You never know what you're gonna get here on Shaman Sundays. But at least we finally have figured out how to make it through a podcast without me freezing. Oh God, my first few, I would freeze and drop off all the time.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we've had that problem.
Turn the
as
heat
well.
on.
Oh, what is this heat you speak of? We live a sparse life.
At first, that's not really what I thought he was talking about. And I'm like, what? Yeah, we've had that happen too. So, how about you, Greg? You too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had cold feet.
Oh, cold feet.
Well,
I mean, we've gone off the rails.
Yeah.
I love it. This is why I like the free form shows.
You saw me take my hat off, and I took my hat off because my head was so hot.
Well, I mean, because you're a beast, Greg. You're just a machine. A machine. Machine.
I
Little Cheech and Chong.
want to be like everybody else in the paranormal. I want to be part of the family. I don't want to be stuck in a corner somewhere.
not really everybody else. There's a lot of drama in the paranormal.
Well, that end of it, and sometimes, you've heard me apologize many times for things that
I know.
that come out.
We know.
I have no control over that. Talk to the little man that's up here.
Oh, the little guy. And
The little guy.
It's funny that the conversation has gone to this because I've had this on my mind recently to the viewers, and I'm sure y'all will agree. Be careful who you decide to bring into your life and into your team of paranormal circles. And that goes not only for paranormal, but that goes for your day-to-day life. Not everybody is your friend. Read energies. Read energies, people. Please be careful. I've been dealing a lot with people lately that have been hurt because the knife is in their back. But they just want to look at the good in everybody. Well, my mentor, about a month ago, told me it's good to always try to see the good in people, but it's also good to see what people are capable of. So felt like I needed to put that little warning out there. It's on our shows we have great guests that we know and we all have common interests, but that's selected by us. I guess I could let me just speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. The guests that I have on are people that I trust. I get great feelings about. But always just take a second look. Just don't put yourself out there. And for some reason, my spirit's yelling at me to say this to somebody, and I don't know who. But be careful, whoever you are out there. And if I didn't say it, I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. I apologize for taking it weird, but if I didn't get that out.
We like weird, so
It's not
that's
weird.
fine. Bring it on,
Viewers like it too.
It's like going in the kitchen and Mom's got the cookies and she just brought them out of the oven, and you reach out to grab the first cookie and she smacks your hand with the spatula.
Oh my god.
That's exactly what I was not talking about.
Probably some people in your audience.
That's why it's
how to read someone's energy.
Yes,
and
and
maybe
it's
we want
very
to
good.
open up that door and
Yeah, let's
brain
do
state
that.
a little bit and that sort of thing, and meditation. And what would you recommend? Some of you say, well, read everyone's energy. Well, where do you start with that?
Well, you would start with that, just like you would start with anything. You start with yourself. Meditation, as you just mentioned, is a good one. And even, you know, if you're not, some people aren't good at meditating. Well, just sitting quietly with yourself. You don't have to sit cross-legged and have the mantra going, but learn how you feel. You know, and once you can figure out where you're at, then you can just like walk into a room. But everybody has it. You know, you walk into a room of crowded people, and you're like, I don't think I'm gonna go over to that corner. I'm gonna walk over here, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your body already can read the varying vibrations, because everything is a vibration. But a good place to start is a good meditation. You know, seek inward knowledge before, I guess you can start reading the energy. But part of us, and all of us have that innate instinct, I guess we could call it at this point, you know, that you just know something's weird about, you know, that person or that area.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it all starts with self knowledge. You need to know yourself before you can know anything else.
Oh, it's
Most definitely.
definitely agree.
Yes.
And I think that those alpha and theta brain states, right, where you're gonna
Right.
like learn the frequency, those are great places to be for psychic gifts,
Mhm.
for meditation, for hypnosis. I think we're getting into those kind of things, and then you start to lean it into, especially with the theta, to those hypnagogic states where you're kind of between wake and sleep, and
Right.
some phenomena occurs in those.
Hypnopompic. Yeah.
Hypnopompic when you're
It's
waking up.
Mm-hmm. The in between.
We see a lot of parallels there. It's
Mm.
just fascinating thing to talk about, you know, as far as paranormal phenomena goes, psychic abilities. You mentioned reading someone's energy.
It's an ability.
and also, you know, for people out there who aren't or have trouble, but that, you know, they like to meditate but want to get deeper into meditation, that technology is a wonderful thing. They have these brain machines, I think they're called, with the glasses, with the lights,
Mm-hmm.
and they combine it with binaural beats.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have one, but it's downstairs, or I would show you. But it actually helps me get into a theta state within like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Right, that's fantastic,
Interesting.
right?
And you know, and there's all kind of like for instance, Google the David D light. It's the machine that I have.
Okay.
You know, there's all kind of stuff out there to help you. Heart math is another one that you can get, which just hooks up to your ear and to your finger, and it works off an app on your phone, and it gets your breath in rhythm with your heartbeat, and you can actually see what
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're like the pulse ox. Yeah.
right. I see.
Yeah.
Kimberly says those fancy words, LOL, and I do apologize. I know I get a little off on that, but we kind of balance each other out, you know.
Yes.
The only thing is we need you to write them down later on and put them on there so we can look them up.
Right.
I'm a simple guy that way.
What do you say?
I need that old dinosaur. That's the source.
I love when you mention it. I love when you have Dr. Michael Lynch on the same way. It's that kind of thing that makes me search more.
Mm.
I need to take a little. I need to go to the little shaman's room. So, Carl, you want to jump in here real quick and see if you have any questions?
Yeah, how's everybody doing?
Good, thank you. We want one of those.
Carl.
Yeah, I can understand that. So yeah, while Brandon's gone. So Chris and Christine, when you go investigating, what kind of equipment do you guys use?
We favor digital recorders, even analog recorders. We like ghost and spirit boxes, whichever you want to call them. We got a new tool I'll show you guys. It's kind of neat.
I like just like a regular recorder just to pick up EVPs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we
that.
tend to lean on the audio as opposed to the video. Not that we don't do video.
We do,
But we
video,
do.
but mostly audio.
Added this to our collection recently. We
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to take it out to use in any.
Oh yeah, an old cassette player. Yeah,
This is an old school cassette player.
analog.
It's
Yes,
actually
on
a
tape.
new one, and it can has a USB on it, so it takes cassettes.
Yeah.
It has a natural hiss to the cassettes.
Right.
Put the recordings right on your computer from this.
Yeah.
And it was about $20, maybe 25 tops, Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Seems really cool. We haven't field tested it yet, but an interesting little thing to add.
But yeah, a lot of people use different pieces of equipment. The newest one we got from KD. Got the Inkbox S
Oh, beautiful.
and everything. I'll tell you what, I've been getting a lot out of that. And what we do is I'll go into a room and ask a series of questions using that. Record it, come out. I'll grab another device like EchoBox and go in. I'll ask the same questions, but I don't ask them in the same number. Like say 5 questions. I would start with the third question, go 3, 4, 5, 1, 2.
Do it out of order. Sure.
Right. And then I'll go in with a third one and go through those 3 there and see if we get any answers to the questions out of 3 different devices.
Nice.
That's
That
excellent.
way you're collecting more data and a little bit of evidence there that something is working in one device,
A little confirmation, right?
Right. Everybody's got to think outside the box when it comes to the paranormal.
Absolutely. We agree with you. Definitely.
Right. I mean, I've done dowsing rods. I've done pendulums. Well, right now I'm working on a pendulum. It's a copper wire woven real heavy at the bottom that goes up and curls over to hold your pendulum. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All you do is put your hand on the coil wire.
Nice.
That way, they're not saying you're twisting the chain or anything with your finger,
Right.
making it move.
Mhm.
If that works that way, then we know the energy is coming out of your body in through it.
Right.
Through the
Right.
copper.
I think pendulum work is like super interesting. We've talked to people who have gotten so many answers. Like they really know how to get into that yes/no thing to get information. Like it starts to get deep, and they start finding the answers to like these really complex things they're trying to ask spirit through these series of yes/no answers, and they just take it to new levels.
Oh, yeah, you can take it to a new level. Put a piece of paper underneath of it where you got yes and no. And in each one of them quarters, put a series of letters. Don't go with your straight A, B, C, D, E, F like that. Mix them up, but get all the alphabet on there and ask them a question and see which way it starts going to start answering it.
That's awesome.
It's just an out of the box
Sure.
idea.
Very
Well,
interesting.
I think that way.
Absolutely. You
Right.
mentioned EchoVox. That's
Yes.
an application. If there's an application we had to pick, I think we would pick EchoVox.
Oh, yes. I
Bob-
fell in love, to give you the idea about EchoBox, 7 years ago when I started our paranormal team. The other team that we went with on an investigation we had to go with at the courthouse because one of us had to be in there with them. And they had EchoBox. And that night I heard a lot of stuff come out of it. And I was like, okay, maybe, maybe not. So I bought it. I went up there to work at the courthouse for my nephew one week and left there and went down. It was a December, nice, cool, frosty evening. Went down to the cemetery north of the courthouse down there and pulled up in front of my grandfather's grave right next to the gravel road right there, right? So I'm sitting there, got the window rolled down, the vehicle turned off, EchoBox on, digital recorder on. And I asked the question. I said, Carl Llewellyn, are you here? Didn't hear a thing. And I thought to myself, I never called him that growing up. So I said, Pawpaw, are you here? And a voice came through the EchoBox and said, hi. That was a voice I hadn't heard in 30 years.
So it was his voice.
Wow.
Yes. Well, it gets better because I sat there and said, do you know who this is? And the next thing it came over that echo box, only my family or a few friends would have known that answer. He goes, when I said, "Do you know who this is?" He goes, Butch. My nickname was Butch because I was named after him.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That was my nickname. From then on, Echo Box, and you all know Denise Pridemore and everything, she pulled the data on it. There are no words in it. It cannot make a word. And we've got real sentences, full sentences out of it.
Wow.
KD has also looked into the coding on that, and we're both in the same boat that we don't. It's not that we don't like or we do like apps,
Right.
but we just are skeptical, and
Well, I know there's the two
we
apps.
go with Echo Box as well.
The two apps that we use out there is Necrophonics and Echo Box 3. Both of those do not have words or letters in it at
Right.
all.
No
So
word.
they can't make a word.
So it says the partial, and I forget what the word is for that, where you get like the sounds, or you're like a
Phonetic sound. Phonetic sound.
Phonetic,
is
yep.
what you get.
Looking for the word. Thank you.
and then it'll form the words. If I had any real critique of the apps and even those, is that they have to say something periodically, so it's going to talk no matter whether you ask it questions or it's being touched by spirit in
Right.
some way.
Right.
Right.
When spirit, and I think we were talking about this with Brandon last
Yes.
night, right? Does touch it, then you get these like crazy results, and it's not a random thing. It's like, all right, giving names.
Well, that's
you
like you guys were talking about. You used to do your show with the Ghost Box, dueling Ghost Box, right?
Some of
Me
them.
and Ron, Denise's husband, I helped him at the Sally House for a year as tour guide up there, right? We were in the same room with the echo boxes running. The echo boxes started talking to themselves.
My God.
We started calling it dueling echo box.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
We've done, me and Ron, when we get together, that's one of the first things we do is we get two of them together.
Let 'em
Wow.
go.
See.
That's so cool.
Right. There are a lot of bad apps out there, and those are two
Yeah.
good ones.
There's
Some
a
of
lot of fake
Right.
apps out there and
Okay.
everything.
They have words like murder and like all
Yeah.
these.
It's
like,
like an
kind of words
Ovilus
that-
app as well. Yeah.
Well, you know the Ovilus, there's a microphone built into them.
Yeah, I believe it.
Oh, well, I know for a fact. Brett tore it apart and found one in it
Come on.
Wow.
down here in Kansas City. Brenda Katie.
The list. I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, he found a microphone built into it. Well, that made sense why you were saying something. It would go through a random words and pick something up according like a GPS locator, type deal in it where it'd pick up that word. What's the learning curve on the Echo Box?
Mhm.
Not much.
There is. You can go. I'm trying to remember where it's at since YouTube went down. That one. Oh, go to CC Paranormal Team on YouTube and you'll see a video of me with the Echo Box showing you how I set it up and everything. And there's different ways. I adjusted all the different ways all the time.
I like Len's response there. He says it just takes time. The more you use it, the more you like it. I know we said pretty much the same thing about spirit boxes, I believe, right? Greg and Brandon. Then we get to that, like the more you kind of use a particular box,
right,
it's almost like it tunes to you or something.
It's your telephone. It's your telephone.
It is.
Yeah.
And seems to work better.
The more you get used to it and the better you know your equipment, the better it's going to work.
And the better they know you.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
And we've all said it before, certain, like you two are husband and wife there, as a paranormal team, you got spirits that would want to talk to you. Other spirits wouldn't. They'd want to talk to one of us. And we've seen that in a lot of different situations. I could walk into a room, couldn't get nothing. Have one of my team members, female, go in there and ask. Man, they answer every question there is.
Yeah, we believe that. We've had that experience ourselves. Excuse me. Especially the Estes method does that as well. When we do Greg. Yeah, we've gotten certain responses where it sounds like, they're trying to answer us, but over on Greg's area. So we do, coordinate together and we get certain responses.
We were doing that one time at the Rose Hotel, and the responses were infrequent and quite rare. They weren't real bum 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 bum.
Mhm.
And one of the guys came into the room, and the Rose Hotel upstairs was a brothel. So he came into the room and he says, "How much do you want?" And he went into his pocket and he pulled these dollar bills out, and he took like $5 or $6 bills and he just threw them onto the floor, and he says, "There you go. Is this enough?" And the box went nuts with responses to every question we asked, because the girls, okay, now they're talking,
Yeah, great trigger object, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Greg, like you was talking earlier, asking about doing the Estes on the StreamYard. One of the best ways to do it is, so you got 4 people on there. One's going to be the moderator to ask the questions, and the others will say what they have to say. But have all 3 people have the same piece of equipment, because the volume coming out, we want to hear if all 3, what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
We've
used
the same boxes. We've on the different locations we've used it. Like if I'm doing it with Greg Bakken, or I'm doing it with Chris and Kristen, we would use the Nanocoms, or I would go ahead and I would use an SB7, and very rarely there's another box that's the S box.
Right.
With the built-in recorder on it. And, I haven't involved that because everything else is memorized, so that when you are blindfolded and you can't see with the S box, or excuse me, with the SB7, you can use the controls to go ahead and change your sweep if you want, or something like that.
Right.
Where if you didn't know how to do that, you'd be screwed. And then and the S box, you have to have a computer to know how to operate those little buttons.
Oh, I know.
You're ready to grab that puppy and throw it right into the wall.
It requires
Right.
Yeah. The SB7 needs glasses too.
Yeah.
Everything needs glasses at our age.
Nowadays, yeah.
No.
You know what? It's so much fun, but it's enlightening at the same time, where you can take yourself and put yourself in an entirely different place than where you're at in your home.
Yep.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And you could go there, and that's the part that you're searching.
Right.
And the question is to everybody, and I would even say it to Brandon, because I never heard him say the answer to this, is what are you really searching for? Yeah.
That's a question to you, Brandon.
Yeah, what are you searching
for? What are you really searching for, Brandon? As a shaman.
In the end, well, obviously, first and foremost, everybody, I think, including myself, is what is my exact purpose? Like the exact, what am I definitely 100% supposed to do? That answer won't come in this lifetime. So my purpose right now is to gain as much knowledge as I can about how to help people that are suffering, mentally, physically, whatever, and to be able to I'll just put it this way. My purpose and my goal in life is to make somebody smile and feel better than they did before they met me.
There you
and
go.
if I can accomplish that small task, then there's my mission.
There you go.
That's wonderful. Wonderfully put.
You can't go ahead and do it any better than that. And I shouldn't even, I was on the path, I'm on a psychic medium path, and I was there, And then I had a small detour as far as ITC was concerned and spirit communication. And it took me into a completely different realm. Like I was supposed to be doing this, whether or not I realized it or not. And everything that I ran into would take me there. And how about you guys and Carl too?
Well, that's exactly what happened to me. I'm just like you. It took long enough.
All right. Yeah, we want to know the hows and whys.
Yes.
So there's that factor.
The wows and highs. Yes.
The wows and highs, we call it. Kristen will call it occasionally. We also like to have a platform, right, to allow people to communicate with an audience that understands them and is non-judgmental.
Right.
Isn't going to pick apart their experience and tell them that, you're fake or whatever, because so many people experience things that they don't have anybody else to talk to about. Maybe their family thinks they're crazy. People at work will think they're nuts if they tell them about, an alien abduction experience that they had when they were 7. We won't. We want people to feel comfortable and have a safe place to talk about it.
Speaking of that, that's exactly the email we got from Carol Garcia, who's in the audience tonight.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
she said it was non-judgmental, safe place.
Other people have said that to us as well, that they're comfortable, and I think that's great. So that's a little bit of a service to those folks, as well as spreading knowledge or curiosity to maybe learn a little more about something.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like our team here. We're out to find out the question to prove that there is something out there as a ghost, but we're trying to figure out why, because I'm the founder and my co-founder is my pastor. So we go through the Bible on the paranormal. When people ask, well, how can you believe in that? And I'm going to say, didn't you read the Bible where it talks about ghosts and demons and spirits? Look at the Trinity, Holy Spirit. If that's not paranormal, then nothing is. But we help a lot of families out up in this area. But you go telling somebody we're a paranormal investigator with me and my pastor and everything, they look at it as like, you are? Go, yeah.
Right.
And he's probably right now he's getting up to be one of the oldest paranormal investigators there is. He's 77 years old.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's 70s. A nice dude. He's a real nice guy.
Yeah,
77 years old.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Giving those families comfort that they're not crazy, or maybe you figured out, what the noise on the wall was, and then maybe it was a mouse or whatever it was.
Sure.
Whatever it was, some kind of pareidolia. We were talking about pareidolia earlier. And give them an answer that, they're now comfortable.
Right. I mean, and that's why all of us do podcasts, is to talk to people about the paranormal and everything. You'd be surprised how many new ones come in. Oh, I didn't know that. Or I didn't, nobody would listen to me, and stuff like that we get on our shows. But what's really cool is, I do Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. When I first started it, I was doing it with the Echo Box and dowsing rods. What was really cool, and people could see the dowsing rods and the Echo Box, people were asking questions in the chat room, and the dowsing rods would answer them before I said them.
Wow. That's awesome.
And if you go back, I'll have to pull this show up to show you guys sometime. I had a listener in our chat room that they were out looking for her brother-in-law. They couldn't find him. Mm-hmm. She was asking questions in the chat room, and I wouldn't even have to ask them to the Echo Box, because I had it up to the microphone so they could hear, and the dowsing rods, right? And the dowsing rods, when she'd ask a yes or no, was answering to them. But what was funny was the Echo Box and the dowsing rods together told her where to go look at on the trail for her brother-in-law. 3 days later, they went up there and they'd been up there 100 times looking for him. He'd been missing for 3 months.
Oh dear.
They
Wow.
came to a Y. They always went left where he always went. The dowsing rods and echo box said go right at the Y.
Wow.
They went down there 200 feet and found his remains.
Oh goodness. Wow, that's
She came back on after the week after that and told me all that
Wow.
and stuff. And that was really amazing show that night.
At least they gave them some closure.
yes.
Yeah, it did. And I tell you what, if you want a feeling to come over you and giving somebody closure like that I had no control over,
Right.
through the echo box and through the dowsing rods, I tell you what, it went over me like a tidal wave
Wow.
coming through.
Just imagine the feeling.
That's fantastic.
That's wonderful.
You're blessed.
But while you're all up here, did you see the very beginning of this show tonight?
No,
Yes.
here we go again. Here we go.
Yes, We were-
Okay, have you been keeping up on the Delphi murders in Indiana?
I have. Yes.
Did you see the guy that got arrested for it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, right.
Look at him and compare it to Brandon.
Yes.
Oh, that's not.
Here we
fair.
go. Yeah.
That's not fair.
You really
That's-
he looks like him. I don't think he looks like him that
I
much.
see a
I
little
don't
It
know.
doesn't.
Oh,
It doesn't
he
look.
does. He pulled up pictures when he didn't have a full beard.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
It's not Brandon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or-
it's not Brandon, but the thought of him looking that close to the guy
It
was
should-
just hilarious.
I'm not calling the police, Brandon. I
Yeah,
promise.
thanks, buddy. Thank you, buddy. I'll help you hide a body any day.
That's what friends are for.
That's right.
That's
Yeah,
what I
I
was
was
looking
gonna-
for.
I was
know,
going to go
I'm
into
telling you.
Photoshop and take that photo and put a full beard on it.
I think you should. I think you should.
No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't plan on riding through Ohio or whatever.
Indiana.
Indiana, yeah. Carl, will you do me a favor? Can you pull up my Paracon Facebook, the
Picture?
haunting at the mill?
Yeah, I got it.
And then we'll pull it. Yep. So I'm gonna talk about my Paracon real quick, and then we're gonna do our goodbyes. The Haunting at the Mill Paracon, March 24th through the 26th of next year. We have, oh my God, a ton of people. I've got Sam Baltrusis, I've got Katie Stafford, Brandy Marie, and Jeremy Leonard of 28 Days Haunted will be there. We've got PRI is going to come out and do some of their data collecting, which I'm extremely excited about. And the house that they decided to rent to stay in is the Shamrock House. It's pretty haunted, so they're going to have a good time. It's going to be laid back, y'all. Like, this is not going to be like any Paracon, hopefully, that you've ever been to. There's camping. There's going to be music. We're going to relax. We're not going to push. It's not going to be, like, crazy like most of them. And plus, we have 50 acres to play in. Tickets are on sale now on the Eventbrite. Eventually I need to figure out how to put that link up here. So come out and see us, won't you? I mean, I'd love to meet you guys in person.
We'd love to go.
50 acres. I mean, that's big enough to have a bonfire. Not that a bonfire seems like a real good idea next to that. building.
Forest fire.
Well, I mean, where the campsite is completely cleared out. There's plenty of campfire spots that we'll be having fires, and it's going to be intimate. The people that stay, like, I know the talent and our guests are kind of going to hang out. It's going to be relaxed, and you actually get to sit and talk to your favorite paranormal personalities, as opposed to the little 5-minute meet and greet that you get at others. So it should be.
Fun.
Yeah, it should be super fun. And as Carol always helps me close my show with "Remember to Smile."
Yeah.
She's so sweet.
I like that.
And there's a thing that I always say to close out my podcast, and I mean it for my viewers, and I also hope that you take a little something from it. But the saying that I came up with, and it goes, "It's not about surviving the storm, but it's how you dance in the rain." And I hope maybe that'll mean a little something to you. And to my viewers, again, I love each and every one of you. If it wasn't for y'all, I would not. I mean, I'd just be sitting here, talking to myself. I wouldn't have guests. Nobody would want to come on here because, we do it to entertain you guys and to, answer your questions. There's no judgment here. Chris and Kristen, tell us about your show one more time. They also have a non-judgmental show.
That's right.
That's right. Judgment-free zone, just like Planet Fitness, but in the paranormal. Planet Paranormal. Maybe we should rename the show. We do a show called Dark Horse Paranormal podcast, and that's live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Our Saturday show is Bigfoot and the Bunny. And
not
and
the bunny. And then you can find that at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. And our shows are on our pages. You can find those pages for Dark Horse Paranormal, Bigfoot and the Bunny on Facebook. We're on the Paranormal United Network as well. Pun. Our Saturday show goes out to Paranormal UK radio network and becomes an audio podcast. We have a few audio podcasts of our own that we produced and put together and pre-recorded and all of that stuff. But what I really want to press to you guys is our YouTube page. We're trying to get people out to that. Please like and subscribe. The address of that is www.youtube.com/@ Dark Horse Paranormal. The handles, as they call them on YouTube land now, are something new, and it's a whole lot easier to find our page. Go to youtube.com/@ like you use in an email. Dark Horse Paranormal will take you right to our front page. You can see both shows plus additional videos that aren't on our Facebook pages.
Thank you so much, Greg. Where can we find you, buddy?
Shadow Hour and Metaphysical Crossing, both on the Shadow Hunters Paranormal Investigations and Events page. 8 o'clock Central. Metaphysicals on Wednesday, Shadow Hours on Friday. This coming week on this Wednesday, I'll have Greg Bakken on Metaphysical, and then on Friday I'll have Jeff Resman, and hopefully Nancy will be on too. And I just want to mention something. If you pay attention to Kimberly Horn, that's made these comments in there, Kimberly, you've got it. You'll be okay. You've chosen your path. Stick with it. And then we will say prayers for you, because I have to say prayers for myself too. So
that is actually one of the people that as soon as the podcast is over, I will be calling, because I just have a feeling that I need to. Also, something new that I'm kind of starting. As you see the email down here, shamansundays@gmail.com. I've decided, after some soul searching and meditation, to make myself available to call or video chat with you if you are in a time of need. I do not charge for this.
Wow, that's wonderful.
I cannot. What kind of shaman would it be if I charged for it? So if you need me, I do accept donations. However, you have to make them to one of my veteran nonprofits. I want to make absolutely nothing off of this. So if you need me, shoot me a little email, and I will get in touch with you. So that's something new that I'm starting. Also, don't forget, you can find this show and all the other rerun shows on my Spotify that I now have, that I finally figured out, and that I have to call Denise and tell her how to do. You can look it up at Shaman Sundays live with Brandon Cooper. It'll pull it up. You'll see the Supernatural Inc. logo. Next week, my guest will be Brandy Marie from 28 Days Haunted. It will be live, so there's no way I can screw that one up, because I'll have Carl with me. Again, if you guys will stick around after we go for a minute, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you to my guests, Bigfoot and the Bunny. and Greg. Thank you guys for just stepping in last minute. I was kind of drowning there, and we ended up doing a 2 hour and 5 minute show, and
Wow.
I'm loving it.
Did you like how that worked?
I love how that worked out. We will definitely have you guys on again.
It's wonderful.
And if there's nothing else, we will light the Palo Santo so we can close out what we have opened.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
thank you guys so much. And we will see y'all next Sunday.
Happy birthday, Ann, and thank you,
Happy
Deanna.
birthday, Ann.
Happy birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Ann.
Happy
And good night,
birthday to
everybody.
you.
Good night.